This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
I was wondering whether you thought climate change could be an issue that could unite us all on left and right, where perhaps humanity might finally discover its global map of meaning.
No. I mean, there's a couple of reasons. I mean, the first reason is that I worked for a UN committee for 2 years on sustainable economic and ecological development and read a very large amount during that period of time and learned a lot, much of which made me much more optimistic than I had been before I read the relevant literature, which was a real shock to me. But the climate change issue is an absolutely catastrophic, nightmarish mess, and the idea that that will unite us that's not going to unite us. I mean, first of all, it's very difficult to separate the science from the politics. And second, even if the claims, the more radical claims are true, we have no idea what to do about it. And so, no. And besides, it's even worse than that. Here's one of the worst things about the whole mess is, as you project outwards with regards to your climate change projections, which are quite unreliable to begin with, and the unreliability of the measurement magnifies as you move forward in time. And so if you go out 50 years, the error bars around the projections are already so wide that we won't be able to measure the positive or negative effects of anything we do right now. So how in the world are you going to solve a problem when you can't even measure the consequence of your actions? Like, how is that even possible? And besides that, well, what's the solution? What are we going to do? Switch to wind and solar? Well, good luck with that. Just try it and see what happens. We can't store the power. Germany tried it. They produced more carbon dioxide than they did when they started because they had to turn on their coal-fired plants again. That wasn't a very good plan. Well, we don't want nuclear. It's like, okay, what happens at night? The sun goes down. Well, isn't that something that we should have taken into account? Oh, we got to flip on the coal-fired plants. Well, so it was a complete catastrophe, and all that happened was the price of electricity shot up. There's like zero utility. So that's not a solution. So what are we going to do about it? Well, we should cut back. We can't consume as much as we are all consuming. It's like, well, maybe, except the data that I've read indicate that if you can get the GDP of people up to about $5,000 a year, then they start caring about the environment, and the environment cleans up. So you could make a perfectly strong case, I think, and a reasonable one, perhaps even a humane one, that the actual idea would be to get everybody in the world who's poor, desperately so, out of poverty as fast as possible, which would increase consumption in the short term, because then they'd start to care about the environment and things would clean up. It's like, okay, well, what are we going to do about global warming? Well, good luck figuring that out. I don't see a solution on the horizon. I was thinking about Greta last night, so I was trying to put myself in her shoes. So imagine, first of all, that you're 13, and then imagine that you're a little on the autistic side. And then imagine that you have a very domineering mother who's perfectly willing to use you for her political purposes. So now she's instilled this terror into you that the world is coming to an apocalyptic end. There are evil and malevolent forces conspiring to make that happen. And that basically constitutes the entire patriarchal structure of Western civilization and all of its industry and all of that. So that's the background you come out of. And now you're 13 and you start to parrot some of your mother's ideas. Of course, they're not really her ideas, but they're ideas that have possessed her too. You start to parrot them. Okay, and then what happens? 50-year-old adult male leaders all over the world fall at your feet and treat you like you're the Oracle of Delphi. And so then what the hell do you think if you're 13 and confused and a bit autistic and your mother's a bit domineering? You think, oh my God, all these things she's telling me that are so terrifying must be true. Because all these well-positioned men who run the world are treating the revelations of my childhood fear as if they're so important that they should be broadcast on every news station and should start to become fundamental government policy. And so, how the hell would you possibly respond if you were 13, except with a massive magnification of your terrors? Like, oh, the world's in such bad shape that I, the 13-year-old autistic child from Scandinavia, now seem to be the leading oracle in the world on the environmental and economic front. It's so sad for her. I can't imagine how someone in that situation couldn't be on the edge of existential terror constantly. I mean, she's in an impossible situation because I don't see how she could possibly question herself or her doubts given the unbelievably overwhelming response to her revelations.